Upgrades.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review. Today we are bringing you the latest film from Netflix as we're closing out the summer, going into the fall movie season. Netflix here picked possibly the perfect film to do that with. And this one is called Rebel Ridge. Here's a quick synopsis. A former Marine confronts corruption in a small town when local law enforcement unjustly seizes the bag of cash he needs to post his cousin's bail. And this one is directed by Jeremy Saulnier, and it is starring Pierre, Don Johnson, AnnaSophia, Robb, Dave Denman, and Emery Cohen. Now, Rebel Ridge, what I meant by it is the perfect, the transition from summer to fall, is because this is a film that presents itself as an action movie. Presents itself very well as an action movie. This is a mystery thriller in the line of, for me, the enjoyable mystery thrillers of The General's Daughter, which I know some people may not think is a good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it, or Basic, or any of those type of films, or even the Tom Cruise Jack Reacher film, the first one, not the second one. Especially that Jack Reacher film. This is really in line with that, as we are introduced to Aaron's character as he comes to this small town, Terry, Richmond, to save his cousin. All we know is that his cousin is going to jail. We know nothing else about the backstory here, as we're introduced to Terry as he's on his bike coming into this small town, and we get an unfortunate confrontation with the local law enforcement. And here's where the money gets seized. And from the beginning of the film, you would project, and the film projects it for you, that maybe we're going to get a sense of it being racial tension, that's the reason everything happens to Terry. But that notion is quickly thrown away, and a more nefarious way of thinking is immediately dropped into this film. And then that's when you know you're in for a different type of film with Rebel Ridge, as we see Terry attempting to fight a justice system set up to be as corrupt as humanly possible. And done brilliantly by Mr. Don Johnson, who plays the corrupt leader of the law enforcement of the town in some of the most brilliant scenes. Aaron and Don's back and forth are great in Rebel Ridge. It really helps cement exactly what Terry is fighting against, and immediately letting you know he's not fighting the point that he's black. It has way more to do with everything else surrounding why he's in that town and the money that he brought in that town than it has to do with him being black. Because that would have been the cheap way out. And Jeremy instead went for a more complicated reason. But he did it because it helped heighten the mystery of the film, as we're stuck with wondering exactly what's going on with everything. And then we're introduced to, I want to make sure I get her name right again, who is truly the only female lead in this film, and does a great job at it. Okay, there you go. Anna, as she plays Summer McBride in the film. And while we get a backstory, that's not necessary with this character in this film. Not necessary at all. But we understand that she's also doesn't like the corruption that's going on with the town, and she wants to help Terry out. And then we get a connection. Again, another great job. Not going for the romantic connection, just a connection of her knowing he's being unjustly done and her wanting to help out. Perfect setup for what this film is. Again, we do get unnecessary backstory of Summer that I don't think is necessary. It does help lend to the mystery of the film and lend to the things that are going on in the town. But I think the film would have went along even without those mentions of everything that Summer had to go through. Because this film is about Terry's pursuit to get his cousin out of the county jail before he's sent away to prison for what Terry thinks is not going to be a good reason here. And I'm being vague because they do tell you what it is, but that would spoil elements of the film here. But again, that's what Rebel Ridge is. It is a mystery thriller, a perfect fall mystery thriller for you to get engrossed with, as Aaron takes the entire film of Terry figuring out everything that's going on. And as I love the point that it's shot in a way that as everything is unraveling to Terry is unraveling to the audience. At the same time, it doesn't feel like it's something that Terry should have seen coming a mile away. Like, this is a setup for a reason, and it works brilliantly for the way he sets up, down to the shot selection, down to the music, the score of this film. Like, everything is set up to lead Terry in the proper direction to find out exactly what's going on in this town. Even Summer, when I say her story is unnecessary in the film, again, it still lends to the mystery of the film to overall show just the corruption of this small town here. Granted, some of it's a little far-fetched. You're gonna have to stretch your mind a bit for some of the elements that happen here. Now, and if you're tuning in for action, because the trailer kind of makes you think this is an action film. If you're tuning in for the action, you got to wait always to the third act because that's when the true action kicks in. But by that point, you are going to be so engrossed with the mystery, thrilling aspect of this film, of them attempting to find out everything that led to that third act, huge action set piece. That's what you're here for. You're here for that. You're here for brilliant direction. Aaron Pierre, who I thought 2 years ago put the best performance on film for that year in Brother, does an amazing job here in this type of role that can lend itself to being an action film. And he comes across as a stoic, like straightforward, no nonsense type of character, very reminiscent of the Clint Eastwood Western type of characters, because Terry doesn't say much in the film. But everything he says, you understand the point behind it. Again, that's what the Jack Reacher comparison with Tom Cruise, because it felt the same way of the way Tom Cruise plays Jack Reacher versus the way Alan plays it in the show. But the way Tom played it in the films is it reminds me, I'm not gonna say reminiscent, it reminds me of Aaron's performance here in Rebel Ridge, and in the best way humanly possible. Because Terry is so forceful in everything. And we do understand when they give us his background, we understand the things that he can do. And it makes it even better that he's still such a quiet person in his execution of everything around him. Again, that's what makes Rebel Ridge work. If you are looking for the perfect fall mystery thriller, I think Rebel Ridge is for you. If you came and think this was an action movie, I think you'll be highly disappointed. This is not an action movie. It has action elements in it, but it's not an action movie. But if you're here for the mystery, you're here for the thriller, here for some great acting and some amazing direction, I think this is the film for you. And I know that's what Netflix hopes when they check it out. So, Rebel Ridge, which drops on September the 6th, out of a possible 10, I am going to give Rebel Ridge a 9 out of 10. I mean it when I say this is the perfect fall thriller. Fall thrillers are supposed to just be those things that as the summer ends that you just turn on and just be engrossed in and you don't have to overthink what's going on here. None of that happens in this film. You're here for a great performance, amazing direction, a solid supporting cast also in place in this film. Like, that's what Rebel Ridge represents. I mean, this is a film that possibly without streaming would not get made. Or it would have to have a huge name attached to it to get made. Instead, here we get what could be possibly a star-making turn by Aaron in this film. Something that's going to engross people. I think this is going to be a film that's going to truly engross people and make you want to sit down for the slightly over 2-hour runtime of this film, because you're going to be so engrossed on everything that's happening while you're watching it. But let us know what you think when this film drops. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.